introduce to you Pastor Brad so that he can quick say a few words as we're letting a few more people join in. So Pastor Brad, are you there?
I am. Do you see me? Or
I
maybe
do.
you're not looking. Hello there, everyone, and welcome to our little special time here together. This is, as you all know, everything is very odd and unique and different right now, but we're glad we can do this way and at least get you all connected and get things ready for this special school year. I'm the pastor at St. John's, where your children will be participating in our Cocalico Care Center. The Care Center has been a ministry of the church for, I believe now, 29 years. It's something that started with, I'm only here 4 years, but I think the history involves at least one mom in the church who had a few children and connected with another mom or two who thought they could also use the benefit of some child care. And before we know it, over the 29 years, it has blossomed into a ministry that each year has well over 100 children who are coming for some form of care and or preschool schooling. So it's a ministry we have as the church. The Cocalico Care Center isn't an outside entity. It's part of our church's ministry. So I have the privilege of being able to interact with your children from time to time. And I look forward to that. And the children look forward, I'm not trying to boast about me or anything. They actually look forward to seeing me sometimes. It's one of the neatest things in my day is to walk through halls and hear children yell out, Pastor Brad, Pastor Brad. Once a month, we go up into the sanctuary of the church where I get a chance to just talk with them, give them a little Bible story or a little Bible lesson or just some lesson about faith. And I realize not everybody who comes to the care center has a faith background, and I want to respect that. At the same time, we do feel that that's just an important thing, being that we are a church, and we just want to be able to tell the children a little bit about Jesus and about God. And trust me, they are just fascinated to go into our sanctuary. If you've never been in there, it's just a neat place, round, a high ceiling, and the children just find it amazing to sit in there and the echo and to talk with me. So we try to do that at least once a month with them. You have a great set of teachers and staff that serve us at the care center. We have been doing everything possible to be in line with, and I'm sure Charlotte will tell you this more and Jen will tell you this more, to be in line with what the expectations are of the CDC and all those sorts of things so that we can provide a safe space for your children during this time of this whole pandemic thing. We're trying to make that something that you don't have to worry about. And we think we're doing a pretty good job with that. We're just glad to have you here. The other thing I want to say to you is, again, as part of this, as this being part of our church's ministry, we really do try as much as possible. And this is kind of a growing thing since I've been there, been at the church. We're trying to really see you as families, parents, and children as part of our church. Again, no matter what you think about church, you have access to me as a pastor. If there's a way I can be a sounding board for you or talk to you in any way, or your child has any concerns that it might be beneficial to talk to somebody like a pastor, that's part of what you kind of get as part of coming into our care center. So I want to encourage you to know that if there's any way I can be of help as a pastor, as a listening ear, as a counselor, for any of you as you go through things in your life, as parents to the children of our care center, don't hesitate to talk to me, to reach out to me at any time. But again, we're glad to have you all this year, and I look forward to meeting the little ones and seeing you from time to time coming through the door to drop them off, and we'll see you soon. Thanks.
Thank you, Pastor Brad. Okay. So again, if people are just joining us, feel free to type your student's name into the chat box. If any questions come up, that'll be a place that we're trying to monitor, and definitely will print out if we don't get to discuss those questions tonight. Make sure that we get them published and sent to you. I'm going to take a second and introduce Miss Jen before we get started. Some of you that are on tonight are returning families, and welcome. We maybe haven't seen you since March, and as Pastor Brad hinted, this whole COVID-19 thing hit everybody, kind of knocked us for a loop. And so we've been working since March, even while we were closed, just thinking how we can make things the safest and most efficient place for your children to be while they're spending time with us. So welcome if we haven't seen you since March, and we're glad to have you if you're brand new. And so Jen was gonna just take a few minutes so you could get a chance to see her face and hear a little bit about her as we prepare in the next few weeks for class to start after the Labor Day weekend.
All right, thanks, Charlotte. Hi, everyone. It's good to see those of you who are returning, and I'm excited to meet everyone new who will be joining us. Just to tell you a little bit about myself, I do have a early childhood elementary degree from Millersville University and my bachelor's degree. I do have over 20 years experience in early childhood. This is my second year going into this preschool program with Cocalico Care Center. I live in Lidditz with my husband, Mike, and my two children, Cage and Addison, who are teenagers. So coming in with the preschoolers is kind of a relief for me because they do not talk back to me, and I just absolutely love that, and they want to learn from me. And in my spare time, I do enjoy walking. I also coach cheerleading here in Lidditz for the junior high, and I definitely love spending time with my family. So I look forward to getting to meet all of you who are new and reconnecting with all of our families who are returning. Thank you.
Thanks, Jen. And if you haven't received an email from Miss Jen, she has information that'll be coming out via email, probably just a couple different pieces of information as we start gearing up to the beginning of school. So besides messages that you've been getting from Erin, like this link to join tonight, and information about the paperwork and enrollment, Jen will be sending things. We're really going to rely on email as much as we can this year to be sending as much information back and forth. So please feel free to reach out to us. And as we start the presentation in a minute, you'll see how to be able to do that if you needed through our website. So I'm going to go ahead and take a second and try and share my screen. And we'll get started with some of the information for our virtual back to school night. We did 2 weeks ago do a similar version of this for our full day preschoolers and school age families. So hopefully we have the kinks worked out for you. But basically we're going to be taking a few minutes tonight just to talk about our website, some basic center information, the registration process that most of you have probably already started and have done. The updates regarding our CCC health policies and how we're handling COVID-19 to be able to meet the recommendations that are given to us from the CDC and the state who license us, has our license for the programming. We're going to go through the drop-off and pickup procedures so that you'll know how to begin and end the day with us through the half-day preschool program. We're going to talk a little bit about the tuition payment processing, our emergency notification system, and then we have some pictures here for sort of a virtual classroom tour that shows both our indoor and outdoor space. And Miss Jen just got a chance to tell herself or explain to you a little bit about herself. So we'll finish up with a few things that might show up in the chat box, and if not, we'll definitely be passing more information on over the next couple weeks. So as we go into our programming, the first thing we wanted to make sure everybody knows is we have a website that you are able to visit, www.cocalicocarecenter.org. And that is the main screen where you're able to get a lot of different information. And you'll see where the arrow just came up, that CCC staff tab is the tab that you would click to get to this screen that shows you the email addresses. So Miss Jen is listed right there over in the right-hand column, the middle box for Elm Room, and that would be her email address that you would be able to see and reach out to her if you need to speak to her. Again, up in the top left corner, myself has the office director email address. You're always able to send information that way as well, and we'll help get things forwarded to you. As you're on the homepage, another couple important things are we have a calendar. We do our very best to keep that calendar up to date. I will let you know that it's mostly just some center activities that talk about closing days, and Miss Jen is really great with monthly calendars and email information that comes out to you so that you get to see emails specifically about calendars for your students in the Elm room. There has been a tab in the past, and I believe it's still there, to be able to touch and see Elm. But really, Jen's calendar is the most up-to-date, and she's the one that would be sending that to you. There's also a tools tab. If you click on the tools tab, that's where you're able to access our online handbook. There's also some other resources there that you might find helpful. And if you would ever need a copy of a new health assessment form that sometimes we need filled out for the children's files, you can find some of those papers there to download and print so that you can have access to those tools. Another section you'll see there on the tab is called the enrollment tab. But for all of you right now, I just like to let people know that really doesn't apply to you. You've done the enrollment process. We're talking with you and we're getting you started with class. That's kind of a tab that new families would hit if they're trying to get information from us. So ultimately, to finish up your enrollment with us for this school year, Miss Erin should have forwarded you an email that had some of our electronic PDF documents that we're hoping you're beginning to be able to get printed and start sending back. All of this came about because of COVID-19, and we're having to try and do as much touchless stuff as we can. So we thought we would try and create those online documents to make it a little bit easier for all of you. If you have any troubles with doing them online, please just call us and let us know. We're glad to help. If we need to send paper versions, we can. The one thing we're trying to let people know about that process is if you're getting into the documents and you're typing your information into the enrollment pages, and you get to the point where you need to do a signature and you're not having access to getting a signature to print on that page, please don't worry about that. Just send it back to us without the signature. We will print it here in the office, and the first few days of school will help catch up with you to get you to actually do the signature on the paperwork. So the last thing that's important on our homepage is if we ever have weather emergency delays that cause us to close the building, that yellow tab that goes across the bottom of those buttons usually has information that's scrolling across about emergency information. God forbid we never have to use it for any other emergency situation other than bad weather. But that would be a place that if you ever have concerns, you can look, and we try and have the most up-to-date information flashing along the computer screen there. So with that being said, we'll sort of leave the web page and go to some of the forms that maybe you're trying to fill out. This year, our Elm preschool program has always had specific days where we meet on Tuesdays and Thursdays for the 3-year-old class, and the 4-year-old class comes on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. This year, we are only holding AM sessions currently based on enrollment. If we have more families registering and we're able to open a PM session, we will do that. But as you are looking at your financial agreements, it's where we're talking about that monthly tuition that's billed. So this year, we've made a switch due to things that we discovered with COVID. And instead of, last year, our families were paying ahead of schedule. So in September, they were giving us the payment, like September 1st, they were giving us September's payment. And then we started a cycle of the last Thursday of every month making a payment for the upcoming month. And what we've decided to do this year, because everything is still sort of unknown, we're even still getting information from school districts about how they're running school and possible mandates that might come down with hybrid learning. Can we be in person? Can't we be in person? That we wanted to be able to allow you guys to pay for your tuition for the month that you're ending. So you'll notice that we'll help you get everything set up. Your monthly fee, we would help get into the fee box if you're not sure what your monthly fee is. And then you would just note if you're a 2-day or a 3-day-a-week student in that middle box. And On this example, it says payments made by Friday, but we're gonna go ahead and you would all do your payments on that last Thursday of the month or Friday if needed, so that the tuition is being charged for what you just finished using. So that's that 2-day box. Oops, and on the bottom was the times that you can go in and out. When we come to the tuition, the families have the ability to choose to either release the payment themselves, or you can go ahead and have us do the pull automatically based off of papers that you're filling out, sharing banking information or credit card information. So here in the office, we have ledger cards that all of the students are set up on. And just to give you an example of how that works is Monday, the 31st of August, this child's half-day preschool tuition was put in for the month of August, and we listed the amount there. And then that following Monday that they would be coming in, if a payment has not come in for the month that just finished, which in this example was August, the computer automatically generates a late payment fee of $20. So we want to try and help as many people prevent those late fees from jumping up. So we'll try and do some reminders of when payments are due if families are releasing it on their own. But just know if you're choosing for us to pull it, we will go ahead on Friday nights to send that batch out to the institution that you've designated for us, and it would just log in on that account ledger for you. So the form that you can use that should have come in your paperwork if you would like us to do the pull looks something like this, and it's where you just share your information. You can put the checking account or credit card information, and we'll go ahead and do that adjustment for you. So the big thing as we're getting started is you just have to help us know through this form that you want us to do the pull, or that you'd like to register to get yourself set up to do the automatic payment at the end of the month. As we start thinking about our health policies that we had to adjust, what we've done is we do need to take temperature screenings and a health screening for all children entering the building. And that's where we're asking for your help. Just making sure that your children are healthy and symptom-free before you're bringing them to school. But know that we have to go ahead and follow the CDC guidelines and do the temperatures ourselves here as the backup for them coming into the building. So to help provide a little bit of an area where the students can come in and out of the building and the teachers be behind the glass that we have to use as the barrier protection system for checking students and teachers' temperatures, we're asking families just this year to enter from the South 4th Street side of the building. That's the side of the building that borders Denver Elementary School. And we're hoping that everybody can pull up onto the park side of the road and park on our side of the building, so that you're please not crossing the street with your children to get up the sidewalk to come to this side of the building. But what will happen is as you families arrive, the ELM teachers will greet you individually at that glass entryway, so that a family one at a time can enter the glass doors. The teachers will be behind the glass barriers. They'll do the temperature taking and the screening questions, and allow the child to then come in as you leave to exit for your car, and the next student would join to come in for their screening. Basically, we're just asking for all of your help to follow the practice of the social distancing that all of us are being asked to do anywhere we're heading, really. And so that will happen during drop-off and pickup. So those nice days, we're hoping that you'll have that ability to sort of meet teachers right there at the door, but just know if it's raining, we understand it might take a little bit longer, but if you would rather wait in your cars, and as people are going, you find a funnel up the side of the road there to be able to get to the doorway easier, we're more than glad to kind of help make that happen. So you'll see as you come up, there'll be pink lines on the sidewalk that'll kind of help show that staggering if you're wanting to wait outside. And if you're waiting in cars, then you would just see when there's an opening that you could jump in and bring your child to that main door. The screenings questions that we have to go through per CDC guidelines is, has the child had a fever of 100 degrees or higher in the last 24 hours? Are they experiencing any new cough, runny nose, sore throat, or some congestion? Is the child experiencing any nausea, diarrhea, or vomiting? Have they had any trouble with breathing? Is there any type of a rash or unusual discoloration that you've seen on the child's body? They're noticing that it shows up especially on the toes if it ties into COVID. So that's a question we're needing to ask. Also, is there any fatigue, fussiness, or just complaints about headaches that the child has been explaining about? Have they been around someone sick or diagnosed with COVID-19? And then lastly, has anyone in the immediate family been exposed or possibly exposed to someone with that suspected or positive case of COVID-19? And if that is happening, we're asking that the children are following any isolation or quarantine guidelines that is being requested of that family member that they're in contact with. So the beginning part of the day will start on that South 4th Street side of the building. Our pickup, we will have you join us in the parking lot on the green, I call it the Green Lawn Garage side of the building. It's basically the Lancaster Avenue side of the building. For any returning families, this is the side of the building that we were doing drop off and pick up at for the school year last year. So we just wanted to make sure people understood that the entrance into the building will be on the Denver Elementary School side of our building, and the drop off will still happen on this side here where you can pull into a parking space. Again, we're just asking you to social distance along that sidewalk and in the grass area. And Miss Jen typically comes out and shares some announcements with everyone. And then she'll release the children one at a time to families that she sees out in the grass area. So be assured that we're not just gonna send 18 of them out all at one time and trust that they're gonna find the right individual. Miss Jen's making sure she passes them off to you directly or the guardians that you're assigning to come pick them up for you. So when it comes to our illness policies, if a child would present with a fever when either they're here or at home, we just have to make sure that they are symptom free without any medication for 72 hours before they come back to the center. Doctor's notes are able to be used to help show that they are not contagious and able to be with the children. But this is a new guideline that we have to follow based off of COVID-19. So we want to make sure that they are symptom free for the 72 hours. If someone, as I said, was asked to quarantine, we just ask that you're following those same quarantine schedules for your child. And we will go ahead and make sure if anyone here, staff or student, has tested positive for COVID, we would notify the appropriate agencies. We're going to be notifying you, the families, and our staff, and follow any of the cleaning and disinfecting procedures that we are given from the state. So some examples we've seen are they might ask us to shut down for a 48-hour window so that we get the building completely cleaned and sanitized before we would try and start running again. So we would always keep you posted regarding any illnesses and what we're being asked to do because of a case happening here in our building. And finally, as I mentioned, with paying the tuition at the end of the month, that's going to allow us to make any adjustments if for some reason the school year is interrupted by the school district closing or any announcements that the governor makes. I will let you know we really struggled this year thinking through how we wanted to try and best provide experiences for your children. And because our classroom follows the Cocalico school district calendar, we already know of some set days through the year that they are closed for in-service, and so that our teachers are here doing some work and learning in our rooms and the children aren't meeting. But if the weather causes Cocalico school district to close, we shut our Elm classroom down so that you don't have to drive in the poor weather either. And so we just wanted to make sure that as we were thinking through COVID and what the school might have to do with some of their new plans that they've announced, they have this whole system of red, yellow, and green phasing that they're trying to think through for schooling through the public education system. And when we heard that the school district had a phase that would be hybrid learning, which is their yellow phase, we realized that with the students in the building here, we would probably not be able to run the Elm classroom the way that we wanted to, and would be needing to have Miss Jen and Miss Stacy helping us here in the program. So we're going to keep you up to date if we hear that the school's doing any adjustments about really how that's going to affect us. But we're anticipating that if the school goes into yellow, we might have to shut the Elm Room down for a short period of time while we're getting staffing in place for all of our programming that happens here. So we just wanted to make sure that the tuition payments, you're understanding, we will prorate anything that we need to based off of closings that are happening for the school district and governor's announcements. And if needed, we can always make special arrangements with families that if your child is needing to quarantine because of maybe somebody in the household being asked to quarantine, like we will review things on a case-by-case basis and help adjust things with tuition as necessary because of their absence following those requested guidelines to follow for staying home. One area that we can ask for some of your help this year is we're really wanting to do as much as we can to keep the kids germ-free. And so we are preparing individual bins that all of the students are using for pretty much their art supplies. We have a lot of things here that we're putting into that bin so that the kids will have their own individual scissors, pencils, Play-Doh, manipulative things maybe that would be part of that box. But if you have the ability to supply a box of crayons, a small box of markers, and a glue stick, that would be helpful. Just let us know if you don't have that available for the kids and we can easily help get that into their bins for them. But Miss Jen is finishing getting all of the other items that she would want to be in those individual bins so the children are not sharing those types of items with each other. They have their own set that they're using. Another thing that we're asking your help with is, per our CDC guidelines, we are trying to keep outside things from entering the building unless it absolutely has to come into the building. So this year, we're not asking our Elm students to bring backpacks. Jen will send individual papers home with kids each day as they're creating things. All of her announcements will come out via email. If she needs to get information to you individually, she will send that out via email. But we understand there might be some kids that are still working through potty training, or you're concerned that they might accidentally spill something and clothing might get wet. So if you want to send in a change of clothes or any diapering items that might be needed, just put those in a plastic gallon Ziploc bag with the child's name on it, and we'll bring those in the first week of school and keep them in the cubby. And then Miss Jen will keep in touch with you in regards to if she needed to use any of those things or have started to run low on the diapering supplies. As I said, she's going to do as much as she can with emails, and that'll be both daily information about the classroom and how it's gone for the day, weekly calendars and information that'll be happening, as well as kind of meeting you at that dismissal area for a conversation in person as she's releasing the children for the time that they would end. Again, because of some of the busing things that are happening here with our students and teachers coming in and out, we're adjusting our day by 15 minutes so that we will have our students join us at 8:45 in the morning. That's where you can start parking to meet to get the screenings done. And we will then dismiss the children at 11:45. So they're still doing their 3-hour window. We just had to bump that by 15 minutes. And by having you do the pickup on the other side of the building, we're avoiding some of the buses that are coming for our full-time kindergartners that are actually dropping off over on the Denver Elementary School side of the building. So we just wanted to make sure families were aware of that new time, and Jen will make sure that that's on reminders as it gets closer to the beginning of the first day. With the Labor Day holiday happening on Monday, the 3-year-olds will have their first day on Tuesday, and the 4-year-olds will have their first day on Wednesday that week. And then lastly, we just wanted to let you know that, again, it's one of the mandates that we're having to follow. Masks are going to be worn at all times by staff, inside and out. Students, we're asking them to have their masks with them. We have some lanyards that we're going to go ahead and use so that if the preschoolers are taking them up and down based on the activities that we're giving them and they're able to spread out and have that mask break and have it down, the lanyard will help catch it so that it won't fall all the way to the ground, and they'll have access to kind of be moving it up and down as we need to so that we're following the CDC recommendations and guidelines. We will not have them keep the masks on while they're doing any kind of gross motor activities outside. We try and get outside every day for class, weather permitting, as long as it doesn't get below a certain temperature in the winter. And again, Jen will help let you know when those days are coming up. And then we're doing our best to spread them out as much as we can. So that as long as we're in that 6 feet apart or so, they'll have the ability to raise and lower their mast based on those activities that are being prepared in the classrooms and other areas. So with that, we just have some pictures of the room. This year it's set up so that the 3s and 4s share it again. They come on their Tuesday, Thursday, or Monday, Wednesday, Friday schedule. Miss Jen has a carpeted area where they can sit and play. They'll do circle time. We have a little padded library area where they can grab books and look at the books. Tables are set up so that they can be drawing and doing activities with her or individually as they rotate through centers. There's also cubby areas where those individual bins will be placed. If you would like to send water with your child, you can. We just ask that you send a disposable bottle in. But we have gallons, jugs of water and cups that she's always able to get the drinks for students if they'd like to have a glass of water while they're with us. To follow our guidelines for CDC, our water fountains have been sort of shut down and taped off, and so we have the water accessible in our refrigerators for all the classrooms. And then another area that the kids get a chance to visit here in our building is our fellowship hall. If for some reason it's not nice weather and they can't get outside, we have the ability to push the tables and chairs aside in this room, and Jen brings the kids down so that they can do some fun games and get some gross motor in, even though it might be raining outside or snowing. But for the most part, as long as the weather's nice, we try to get outside on that fenced-in playground. And Jen will always go ahead, and if they are out on the playground towards the dismissal time, she will make sure she brings the kids into the building up to that narthex area that you can see where we have our bathrooms, right there by the stairwell. And the kids would wait there as she does the announcements and sends them out to you. So don't feel like you have to come over to the playground if you see them outside and you're getting here a few minutes early. She will get them together, bring them up to the narthex, and greet you all at that exit. So with that being said, I'm not sure if any questions have been put into the chat box. I know Jen was trying to help watch that for me. And Jen, just let me know if there are any questions that we can try and answer. But basically, we'll go ahead and we'll print out a fact sheet of any other information that we feel is important or information that's been covered in this presentation, and it'll get posted on the website and also shared with you via email. So I'm not sure if that's something that is helpful or not. Did we see anything there, Miss Jen? I don't see anything there necessarily. I don't know, maybe some of the people that are there can give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down if they were able to type a question. Okay. I'll give it a couple more minutes. I think Miss Jen is still here. So if we see something pop up, we'll try and answer that. But again, we just want to welcome everybody and say we're really excited. We know it's going to be a very unusual year, and we just appreciate you trusting us with your kids. And I know, as Pastor Brad said, we welcome you in as part of the St. John's family. And we're just really excited to spend some time with the children as we get into the Labor Day holiday and start our 2020-2021 school year. So thank you for joining us. I will go ahead and make sure that any information you need is still forwarded through emails. I know people are saying if they had to print their packets, can they mail it in? Most definitely, you're welcome to mail it in. If you can't get it in via computer, that's not a problem. You're also able to stop by the doorway here and just ring the bell, and teachers would be able to grab the paperwork from you in the lobby. So I think that helps answer the question about paperwork.
I think that's a question.
There we go.
Yeah, sorry. I moved to the computer, and for some reason my camera doesn't work on the computer. I apologize, but I haven't seen any other questions, just about the paperwork. And I
Okay, so
will, as Charlotte said, I will most definitely send out an email over the next week, letting you know what to expect that first week, some of our goals that we'll be focusing on for the first couple weeks that the school year starts, as well as items that you can be sending in that we'll need in the classroom. So I try to keep you as involved as much as I can. For those of you who've been with me in the past, you know that I always love to keep the parents involved. Now, we can't invite everybody in this year, which is so sad, but I will make sure we have you gathered in the classroom some way, somehow, even if it's through Zoom, we'll make sure everybody's connected.
And Jen, I did have one thing pop up. So just for parents to realize, we will provide the lanyards. We have those here ready to go already. We're asking for your help to send your child in a mask. If you do not have a mask for your child or access to a mask for your child, let us know and we'll help try and get one, because they will need to have one in the building. But we are asking if you would send the mask, and we will have Jen keep their lanyards in their individual bins. Jen does a really great job with brand new students coming and this whole transition of it's brand new. Even though COVID has changed our drop-off and pickup procedures a great deal, we have always had the families meeting the teachers right there in that lobby area by the bathrooms. So Jen is great with any kids that are hesitant or needing comforting. Like, the teachers are right there. We have extra teachers to help. They will help get them in. And they're also really great at contacting you and letting you know if they don't settle down or if they're still struggling. Usually it's just that separation for the very first time that they might be crying, and I hated it. I was a mom, and I remember it was 20 years ago, but my kids put on the best show for me, that it was tears and clinging and screaming and crying. And the minute I walked away, they settled down and they were fine. And I know that's the hardest thing as a parent to watch, but please trust us. We will do everything we can to help them come in and transition and meet us in the lobbies. And the teachers will ask for your help if they need it. So don't worry about if they're uncomfortable or unsure. We know that that's brand new. And unfortunately, fortunately and unfortunately, we end up being the first ones to help them kind of learn that if they haven't been participating in other activities, like maybe Sunday school classrooms where they might leave you and you come back to get them. But it's sort of a long line of, as they get ready to go to school, that first day of kindergarten happens, and we're not always there to help them go into the building. So just know that we will comfort them and help them, and that's not a problem. So really, we're asking for everyone's help to please abide by the guidelines that we're being asked to do. Minimal people in the building to prevent contamination. And if you really have some extreme concerns, that drop-off day, Jen would be glad to talk with you and let you know how she'll help the kids in and how she might need to reach out to you if she feels that that's necessary. So does that sound about fair, Jen, with how you
Yeah,
help
I
get in
do.
and
And I also, just to give those of you a heads up who haven't been through this before, the first day is always fine. It's the second time that they come back that they will show tears. And I promise you that everything was fine the first day, but they realized you left them stranded with me. But they get over it, I promise. But I do my best to send pictures and kind of highlight how they're doing in the classroom, so you get a sense of you get confirmation from me that they are doing okay. But if we find that we are having difficult drop-offs and we need to maybe bring a comfort item in from home, that works as well, and I'm okay with that. We had one little guy last year who brought a dinosaur every day, and he knew to get a good laugh out of me, he needed to scare me with the dinosaur, and that helped his transition into the school. So it worked for him. So whatever we need to do, I will work with you as much as I can to make it a successful school year.
Yeah, so I appreciate your time. We want to be conscientious of the fact that you have routines that you're trying to do through the end of the night tonight. So Jen will be in touch. Please call us or email us if you have any other questions. We'll be glad to help. And we're really excited that even though we couldn't be in person tonight, that you were able to join us online, and hopefully you found that this was helpful, and that the pictures gave you a chance to see a little bit of the space that your children will be in. My fingers are crossed that things will change as we go into the fall, and maybe some things might lighten up, and that hopefully our entire school year won't be based around thinking of COVID and things like that. But we'll have to wait and see how that goes. And we just appreciate all of you for being with us, and we're excited to start the school year. So thank you so much for being here. And again, please reach out if you have any other questions. We'll be glad to help. So have a great night.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you all. Look forward to seeing the children.